It's just so weird, right? It's like, hey, we're going to do the insurrection update, and it's the last story.
Mhm.
So I think the first thing, Jennifer, is Donald Trump has the bigly, huge, amazing distinction of winning twice. He is the first president in United States history to be impeached twice.
Oh, yes. I love history. Yeah, so he's like at 50%. Um, yeah, behind Andrew Johnson during Reconstruction and Bill Clinton. Uh, you've got to be pretty uh, pretty bad to get impeached twice. And it looks like there's potential for there to be a conviction in the Senate as well, which would actually make him the first to be impeached through the Senate, which is also super historic. So I'm excited about that because the other, of course, Clinton's impeachment and Andrew Johnson never, they were acquitted by the Senate.
It's very interesting because there is going to be an impeachment trial in the Senate, and something that's jumping out at to me is there's like literally not a single attorney except for maybe Dershowitz that's kind of like, okay, I'll do it. I know that Rudy was on the table to do it, but Donald Trump just said, yeah, don't pay Rudy.
Yeah, of course. I mean, and did Rudy really think that he wasn't going to end up one of the I didn't get paid by Donald stories? And it's interesting to me. I remember when I was younger what a big name Alan Dershowitz was. He was taught at an Ivy League institution. He was pretty well renowned legally. And, since I don't know where his mind has gone or if he has always been like this, but this whole kind of like fervent support of Trump, kind of guised behind this First Amendment argument is really kind of mind-boggling to me because I was reading earlier today that that's what they were going to use as a defense is that his speech is protected underneath the First Amendment.
Which it's an interesting defense because then you kind of get into, was it Thurgood Marshall that said, I'll know pornography when I'll see it?
Mm-hmm.
Is that his quote out of the Supreme Court?
I think so. I would have to look it up for sure.
Right. And I think that's really what it comes down to. I think the central argument is on the First Amendment. You can't stand up in a crowded movie theater, which I know in the age of COVID sounds ridiculous, but you can't stand up in a crowded movie theater and scream fire. Of course, in 2021, you can't stand up in a crowded movie theater and scream active shooter. So we know that there's certain things that aren't protected. What I think Donald Trump is going to try to do is wrap himself in the warm, fuzzy blanket of, look, I started with, say, be peaceful, and then just ignore the entire hour after that where I basically told them, fight for me, go down there, I'm going to march with you, blah, blah, blah. We're going to take this, you got to fight, yada, yada, yada. Like, that part didn't happen. I told them to be peaceful.
Yeah, so it's actually Justice Potter Stewart that said that.
Justice Potter Stewart, thank you so much.
Stewart, Potter, just for clarity. Yeah, so this whole, the lengths to which the First Amendment is going to have to be litigated is pretty intense because it goes back to that question again, then, is hate speech potentially protected underneath the First Amendment? That's a huge question. And I think they're really going to have to continue to, oh God, I'm frozen in like the worst possible frame. They're really going to have to, litigate this in very interesting ways.
Well, the other thing as part of the insurrection update is there were moving trucks seen today at the White House, and people saw what looked like furniture coming out of the White House. So there is kind of this belief that Donald Trump and Melania are packing up and getting ready to move out. And of course, there's a fair number of jokes about has somebody accounted for all of the silverware and paintings on the walls.
Yeah, I know, because what was it? They were showing earlier like a bust of Abraham Lincoln going out of there, and then one of I can't remember his chief of staff, Mark Meadows' wife, was carrying out a taxidermied bird. Just so it's interesting. And somebody had been telling me before they thought it was super interesting that potentially they thought Trump would take items of value out of the White House. So I'm wondering if that's actually going to come true.
Yeah, we'll have to see. The other thing that's interesting in the insurrection update is this goes back to the Chuds.
Chud. Cannibalistic, humanoid, underground dwellers.
They really like to talk a big game about, we're ready and yada yada, but there's growing word that with 25,000 armed U.S. troops, I say U.S. troops, they're National Guard, but they're armed and they have been authorized to use lethal force under military rules of engagement, which basically would be don't fire until fired upon first. And there's a lot of word going that the Chuds are going, yeah, you know what, we're really big and we're brave. Yeah, okay, no, wait a minute. I guess not.
So apparently, like, rain quashes their plans, and anybody that might use any kind of force against them. So yeah, I'm curious to see too how that pans out. And I think you were on to a good kind of theory the other day when you were talking about, yeah, there's all this, buzz about what could potentially happen. So they put all these forces in place. And so now nothing big is going to happen. And then the far right can say, hey, we told you so. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah, the big concern now is what's going to happen at the state capitals. But of what we have seen so far in Washington State with the session was there, miserable weather, 750 armed National Guard troops. And they decided like 20 of them showed up. And one of the 20 was Crazy Matthew from Seattle, who we talked about earlier, who got himself arrested because he was annoying the Chuds too much.
Yeah, and it's interesting too. I mean, how would they organize? Because who's going to want to take responsibility and pay for their trip again and bust them in? And, Airbnbs are closed down and there's all these limitations on who can be in Washington at this particular moment in time. I just don't see the same level of organization being there like there was for the insurrection on the 6th, unless they've got T-shirts made, and then we should really look out.
Well, and that's also been discussed by some of the counterterrorism experts and FBI in that kind of pulling the plug on Parler, dropping the hammer on the Q accounts, the hardcore hate accounts, the neo-Nazis accounts, the fake accounts, and the bots. They have, in a sense, cut off a lot of the communication machine for national coordination. The concern that those same experts have is at the state level, this is more like text when I say text, it's Signal, it's Telegram, and they have more of a direct communication network and operate as smaller terrorist cells.
Yeah, and that's interesting too, because I'm wondering, have they had to divert national, like the National Guard in some ways to account for the potential violence on the U.S. Capitol? And will that potentially leave some of the state capitals less protected?
Well, certainly that's a question you have for states like Maryland and Virginia, who have significant deployments to support those particular states. I haven't looked to see if Pennsylvania has deployed anything, because that would be a state in my mind where there could be significant risk, just knowing everything that is in that state of their Capitol building getting stormed. Like if I were to be putting bets down, I wouldn't be betting against Pennsylvania.
Yeah, no, and I think that's interesting too. And we were actually having I edit at a journal at the University of Washington, and so our primary editor is Bruce Heavling. He's a historian of science who also I taught U.S. military history with, and we were talking this morning about these local far right extremist groups like the Proud Boys, like the 3%ers, thinking that they have like the right to organize as militias. And so we were talking about in the state constitution that you can't actually technically organize as a armed militia without being sanctioned by the state's governor. So it's just kind of interesting to me the ways in which these people either don't understand or have interpreted the Constitution to fit their agenda.
On the sidewalk, guy said Pennsylvania should get the Amish out there to build a fence around the Capitol because they would be able to build it efficiently and quickly.
Yes, absolutely.
I think he wins the internet tonight. On the subject of insurrection, there's a lot of people on Parler that just don't seem to understand that if you're going to go and overthrow the government, filming yourself trying to overthrow the government is not so smart.
No, it's really not.
And when Parler lost Okta to handle their security, everything essentially just became free and in the wild. And Parler didn't pull the plug. They continued to operate without Okta security. This enabled people to just go in and create multitudes of administrator accounts, which they then just use the administrator accounts that they created because Parler's security was so bad to download all of the post history, including, say, if somebody had deleted a post or edited a post, as well as pictures and videos. It gets worse. Pictures and videos have something called EXIF data on them, EXIF, which has the camera brand, model, serial number, which then goes right, identifies to the person's camera in their hand, time, date, and GPS coordinates. Now, if somebody had all of that information turned on by accident, and say you upload that to Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, those sites scrape that EXIF data off. Parler didn't. And so what's happened is that people are now building these interactive maps that now will be able to go to in a few more days and click on a point and then watch the Parler video or see the picture that was taken at that exact geographic point. In the case of videos, Jennifer, about 1 million videos uploaded, 64,000 of those, so 6.4%. People didn't turn the EXIF data off. Very interestingly, that includes 4 videos out of the East Precinct in Seattle.
Oh, how convenient. How convenient.
Those might be interesting videos to see. Now, I say interesting, they very well could be nothing, right? We don't know. It very well could be nothing. It very well could be, hey, here's the protesters outside, or it could be something very insightful. But we know that there's 4 videos based on that map that are in there. But the first videos that hit are the videos that were shot in the Capitol on January 6th, and they've been made public. I have spent more time than a human being should have to spend watching this. It's awful. And with that, we've made a compilation of some of these video clips. I will say there isn't anything particularly horrible in any of this. There's certainly nothing like the shooting of Ashley Babbitt or anything like that. I will put just a little casual warning here. Some people have maybe experienced a lot of protest violence, might have some issues in what they're about to see, but I'm going to go ahead and roll the clip. And this is going to be a good time. If you've got questions, mods, admins, I have seen a couple of questions go by. We've had a lot of comments going. Not quite yet, mods and admins, but when the clip is over, if you could start slapping those questions in, that'd probably be good for Jennifer and I.
We literally just got on the Capitol lawn.
Let's go! Let's go!
Let's go, girl!
Let's go!
Fuck Biden! Fuck Biden! All Americans for Trump!
Trump 2020! Woo!
Our friends, we're on you.
What's happening?
Shut the door. Shut the door. Shut the door.
Don't break stuff. You don't want to be liable. Hey, everything's recorded, guys.
Obviously. All right, so this is the crowd. They brought up a huge ass flag to hang off the side of the staging. Look at the people. Records say that there's 5 million people here. We are at the Capitol. Me and some friends. That's all our friends. Friends! And it looks like they called in the National Guard supposedly, and they're coming in from the back to try and get rid of us out of here. So it looks like we're probably going to start making our way down. We made our point as far as we're not afraid of these people anymore, but it's a Mexican standoff. They just put an emergency alert over the phone and saying that they're closing down D.C. and there's a 6 o'clock curfew, nobody on the streets.
Except Antifa, they'll be allowed. Your mayor just gave us a curfew at
6 o'clock, right? Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yes.
Yeah. They also told us not to storm the Capitol.
It's amazing.
Put your mask on. I don't want them to see you. Hey, chill! Stop! Chill! Dude! Hey, we're better than that! Stop! We're better than that!
Well, guess what? America showed up!
Where's the rest of everybody? There's not enough of us. They're gonna bring vets in or something.
All right. We could have like an hour unpacking that, and we're actually at a minute and 30 now, so we don't have an hour to unpack this. I'm going to give you my 3 fast reactions here. Number one, we could hear the emergency broadcast system going off on people's cell phones. So this conspiracy theory that they turned off the cell phones is killed by Parler users' own videos. That's my first number one reaction. Number two, there's like 5 million people here. The population of Washington, D.C. is 800,000 people. 5 million people would be like the entire city of Houston surrounding the Capitol. It's just like, dude, you got to work on your ability to estimate crowd numbers. And then my third reaction will go to the very, very opening clip, which is of this woman that I called when I put it up on Twitter, feeling hella cute, think I'm going to film myself breaking federal law, maybe talk to the FBI later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that video is insane to me. To be in the middle of that. And of course, you know, we talked a little bit earlier about John Sullivan is like all over in that. But yeah, that got me to the whole crowd size estimation. There's 5 million people there. Didn't they estimate there was like a few thousand, something along those lines?
They're saying 8,000 at the Capitol, and up to maybe 1,000 inside.
So yeah, 5 million people coordinated to that degree would have overthrown the government. So whatever there.
Hey, can one of the malcontents look up real quick? How many soldiers in the U.S. Army? Because I don't think it's 5 million.
What's interesting too is, you know, there's that whole antagonizing, but the one that got me is when they're like, no, stop. We're better than this. And the guy leans in, pulls down his mask and says, no, we're not.
Yeah, exactly. That says so much in that clip. And I think what you're seeing there, right, there was also this debate. We're inside. We don't know if this is a conference room or an office. We see a window is already broken when they come into there, when they're doing that shot there. And again, there's this debate on whether to, break in or not. There's another video. I did contact that person because they own that video. And we really try to be respectful of stuff that isn't in the public domain. And I never heard back from them. And so maybe we can link to it up on our page or something. This is a real terrifying video. It's about 2 minutes, 17 seconds long. And it's people that are in there and they stop and like they've got maps and they're like, okay, where are we at? And they are clearly coordinating on the offices they want to target and where they want to go and what's on this floor and what's on that floor and how people need to split up to get to it. And this is a real smoking gun of advanced planning.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it goes back to that too, the claim that was made, and I can't remember who it was yesterday, made the claim that there were people taking reconnaissance tours the day before the insurrection. And there were, lawmakers actually leading them around. So you have to wonder, I mean, again, it sounds tinfoily, rabbit holey, kind of a little bit crazy, but you have to wonder how deep this goes and how many lawmakers were actually coordinating to try and overthrow their own government.
1.3 million soldiers total is what our malcontents are telling us. 480,000, because not everybody, right? Some are in logistic positions, etc. 480,000 soldiers in the capacity of bang bang.
Wow. Yeah.
So apparently 5x the U.S. military, bang bang was there.
Okay. Whatever.
In the minds of a Chud.
Chud. Cannibalistic, humanoid, underground dwellers.
I mean, things have reached a point, right? You have to laugh about it because otherwise I'm just going to curl up in the fetal position on the floor and start crying about it. So, mods, this is the time to start giving us the questions that have been going by. I see the chat's been super active tonight. I know we've had a great audience. We'll do maybe like 5 or 6 minutes for questions, and then we're gonna call it a night. But this is the time to go ahead and drop those questions in here. There's a ton of debate going on the size of the U.S. military in the comments right now. The other thing is KD Mudd said, yes, the traitor tours. And there are some serious questions that are being raised, as you brought up, Jennifer, on tours on January 5th. I have seen some stuff where people are saying, there's CCTV videos of this, but I haven't seen any of it released. And so I'm not quite ready to go, look, until there's some more than just kind of these accusations that are floating around right now.
No, exactly. I do think it would explain a lot of how people knew where, hidden offices were and things like that. But I'm with you. Until there's something concrete that comes out, you can't really, it's nothing more than an allegation at this point.
Okay, so Dora had a question, but we answered it. Yes, my view is I really don't know. What the government intelligence experts are saying, what the chatter is coming from some of the right-wing militias. Another interesting fact: militias, armed militia groups that train, practice, have command and control are illegal in all 50 states, and no state has ever cracked down on any of them. But they are all illegal. So it's a question for me personally, but based on their histories and their patterns, when they face strong resistance, they don't show up. And
I think it's maybe a good time that we stop referring to them as militias and giving that kind of a label any kind of credibility.
There's a question, and I saw when we were playing Nate's video and his use of the word of anarchy, and there was a lot of anarchy in the comments. It's a joke. There was a lot of anarchy in the comments about the use of the word anarchy. I'm going to quote the movie, The Princess Bride. You keep saying that word. I don't think that word means what you think it means. And I don't think that he meant it in the context that people are taking it. I think he meant it in the context of it was chaos, not that this was anarchists. And so if you're asking for my answer is I think some of you are reading way too much into his use of the word. That's my 2 cents. I call it as I see it. Any other questions? Oh, wait a minute. We got a question. What benefit do the insiders government get by overthrowing the government? How do corporations benefit from autocracy? Well, this is an interesting question. This was something that we observed as our nation's capital was under siege. The stock market was going crazy, and it went up even more the next day. And what I heard is like, well, because they threw him out, a Biden administration means that we'll get more economic stimulus, and that's good for the economy, and that's why it's going up. In a logical, functional world, I would think that the stock market would just be collapsing, at least this is going on in real time. What's the benefit do they get? Well, how much do they already control as it is? Because we see a lot of corporations lining up right now going, Yeah, we're suspending our contributions to the Republican Party, and the Republican Party is shitting their pants over it. Like, this is the thing that Mitch McConnell's upset about. Mitch McConnell isn't upset over the insurrection. Mitch McConnell is upset over the damage that Donald Trump has done to the fundraising mechanism to the Republican Party and for losing the Senate. He is absolutely blaming Donald Trump for what happened in Georgia.
Yeah, they're really, really worried about that loss of money right now. And then again, going back to that question of what do lawmakers gain by overthrowing their own governments, if these are far right GOP lawmakers that are engaging in this, you know, they're going to, if they're successful, be in Donald Trump's eternal good graces. And that alone has its benefits for keeping them in power. It's all about staying in power.
Yes. Exactly. And maintaining that power, because as we've said many times, the United States of America, in my lifetime, Jennifer, in your lifetime, we're going to become the minority from a race when you combine all of the other races together. And that scares the bejesus out of white male America.
Yep, exactly. It's the same fear they had during the Civil War and Reconstruction and, you know, before that, when during the Revolution, they were promoting this fear of pan-Indian and pan-slave alliances that went into the War of 1812 and went on. It's always been that fear of we're going to become the minority and they're going to treat us the way we treated them. Yes.
There's a lot of questions about where's Yoda tonight. Yoda's downstairs, probably wondering when he's going to get fed and if I'm ever going to come downstairs again. And yes, Yoda is celebrating his birthday today. Yoda is 17 years old. He's 1 year away from being able to vote. Just kidding, Chuds. But he certainly would probably be a better voter than some people in how they vote today. I guess we would just leave the ballot on there and it'd be wherever he pooped. That would be the thing that he voted for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, happy birthday, Yoda.
Yes. And I think with that, because we're over time, what else is new? We're over time. I think this is the part where we say happy trails and good night. If you have not done it already, if you like independent media, no, I'm not calling out for money. This is the opportunity to like, follow, wherever channel you may be on. We're on Twitter at Malcontentment T. You can follow us there. We're a very active Twitter channel over there. You can, of course, on Facebook, we're at Malcontentment. You can look for Malcontent News, and you can like and follow us there. Please like and follow us there. We are not clout chasers. We are not like, I'm not Katie Davis going, I lost 17,000 followers because they turned all the Russian bots off overnight. That's not how we roll here. However, we could do a lot more as an organization when we get to 10,000 followers on Facebook, and we're getting close. So I'm going to start pushing, please, Facebook, follow us. Twitch, you can subscribe, you can follow. It is one of the easiest ways that you can spread the love. And one last thing is we're going ahead and shutting this down for the night. Spam those hearts. Let those mods and admins know that you appreciate all the hard work they do. Jennifer, thank you for another wonderful show. We will be back for Martin Luther King Day.
Yay. Happy Monday, or have a good weekend, everybody. I'm tired.
I think we're all kind of tired. Yeah. And with that, I'm going to say Malcontent out. Malcontent News is a team of journalists, activists, and researchers with 3 key missions. A commitment to show an unfiltered view of the before, during, and after of key events, live, as it happens. To defend the First Amendment using our rights of a free press. And to amplify the voices of underrepresented individuals, including Black, Indigenous, persons of color, and the LGBTQIA+ community. Our team is committed to seeking equality for all and holding those in power accountable. The easiest way to support Malcontent News is to bookmark our website at malcontentnews.com, like and follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and in the Google News app. To provide financial support, you can become a patron, make a one-time donation through Venmo, or link your Twitch account to your Amazon Prime account and use your free subscription to subscribe to Malcontent News. Thank you for supporting independent journalism and for being a malcontent.
You fit the profile. You're the malcontent.
Nobody wants to hear the nonsensical ravings of a loudmouth malcontent.
He said malcontents Antifa. Fuck you.
You are the biggest hypocrite on the face of the planet.
I say that you're a terrible reporter. That's what I say.